What's up, everybody? I am Joe.
Welcome to the SML Podcast. Okay,
you son of a bitch. I am the host of a video game podcast called the SML Podcast. We are celebrating our 10th year next month, and we have more years than listeners, so thank you for showing up for this. We are here today to talk about 20 years of MAGFest. Is this anybody's first MAGFest? No one? No? So you know what... Cool, you know what's going on here. We are a handful of people who have attended the majority, or in some cases of a few of us, all 20 MAGFests. I'm Joe, this is Bunny. You have been around since...
Mag 5.
Mag 5. Tim, you were here since Mag 2. Ian?
I've been here since 1.
Matt?
1.
So yeah, we have been around the block with this thing. We're going to handle this kind of like a podcast style thing, just kind of Q&A kind of things. I want to know more about their stories of MAGFest. Last year we did this and I told my stories, so I want to know more about their stories this time. So Tim, since you were here at Mag 2, what brought you to MAGFest?
Well, so I was going to come to Mag 1, but I found out about it like 2 weeks before it happened. And that was not enough time for me to like organize a trip to go down to, but I mean, just hearing like, oh, the 1-Ups are playing a show was enough to make me go like, oh man, I wish I was there. But, so MAGFest was in my head at that point. I learned about it through the 1-Up Studios message boards. I don't know if people know what message boards are. But as it turns out, like at the time I was making independent like horror movies with a dude, and then
Is that a euphemism?
No, it was a thing that happened. I have an IMDb. They're all on there. It's all on there.
Fancy.
Yeah, there's more of that on there than like my movies. But yeah, then by the next spring, I was like, I am going to make a movie based on River City Ransom for the NES. And so, those plans had been put into place. And pretty quickly, I was like, I don't even know how much of the movie we had shot. I think we had put up the website with the logo and the trailer. And then I was like emailing MAGFest to be like, hey, I'm making this movie. Can I come show it at your event? Which at the time they were like, please, anybody, please come to MAGFest. Like, sure, of course you can come show your movie. And so, we came to MAGFest, we showed the movie, but while we were there to show a movie, I think we showed it twice. I remember it was right after the opening ceremonies. Like, opening ceremonies finished, which opening ceremonies at the time took place in Main Events, which was also the concert hall.
It was a small Clarion in Williamsburg.
Yeah, small Clarion in Williamsburg. But while we were there, we also, X-Strike Studios, we shot a documentary, the MAGFest 2.0 documentary, where, we kind of chronicled like our trip down to the con. Like we were kind of like the background of it, but your host for it. And just kind of, we talked to all the guests that were there, all the bands that were there, just took video of the concerts. And we put out this documentary, which is about 40 minutes long. It's still up on the MAGFest YouTube. And that ended up being like a big advertising piece for MAGFest for years to get people to come to MAGFest. They'd be like, here, watch this video. And to this day, I believe it is the most watched X-Strike Studios production.
Oh, look at this guy wearing the same outfit.
Oh my God, we should have coordinated. We should have called.
Someone's going to have to go home.
But it was the MAGFest 2.0 documentary, which is still up there on YouTube. Ended up being a big thing that brought people to MAGFest for years and years. And then, from there, like pretty much every year, X-Strike Studios would show up. We'd have our new movie to show. We'd always premiere our movies at MAGFest, except one year where we did it at VG Expo. That was a mistake. It was a mistake. Hey, Tommy Tallarico was there, so there's that. There wasn't an audio system until Brendan went and got like something that he had stitched to a piece of plywood out of his car. Guys, I thought you had a sound system. No. So yeah, the destinies of X-Strike and MAGFest were intertwined for many years until, I don't know, like MAGFest went like this and X-Strike went like this. We're still doing stuff, but yeah, like up until about 10, like the first year at the Gaylord, we were a big part of MAGFest.
Well, you're still a big part of MAGFest to me, Tim.
Oh, thank you. There, I've taken up 1/12 of the panel. You got
Good
there.
job. Bunny, you said your first one was 5.
Yeah.
What brought you to MAGFest?
So I had an ex-boyfriend at the time who was like, I'm in Chicago and you're in DC and I really want to go to this, so can I stay at your house? And I was like, I guess so. So he stayed on my couch and he insulted me, and I don't allow people who insult me to stay in my house, so I kicked him out. So as an apology gift, he gave me a badge to MAGFest. So what happened is I got to see like This Place is Haunted, which was awesome live. I got to see Dom in the like hallway playing keyboards and was like hanging around stuff. And I went home and I was still wearing my badge, which was a piece of yarn and like a piece of paper that had been laminated together. And to make a one-day badge, they had written on it in Sharpie. Well, what I learned that night is, while I was doing my laundry, Tide laundry detergent takes Sharpie off of plastic really well. So my one-day badge became a full weekend badge.
Nice.
So I came back the next day, and there was these guys playing this brand new game that I'd never seen before called Guitar Hero. And they were just like playing, and I was enraptured by this. And they turned back to me and go, hey, I haven't seen you around here. Have you played this game before? Do you know what this is? Can we show you how to play? And I've been chasing that feeling of community ever since. So. It's okay, I've been a department head for too long. I've paid back the badge like 7-fold by now.
Ian, what was your story with MAGFest 1?
My story with well, first off, is there anyone here who does not know what the term lumberjack is referring to? Okay.
Yeah, I guess we should have covered that.
Yeah, we probably should have let them know.
Well, I talked about it at my panel, so you know,
Yeah.
if they were there. There's one
Yeah.
there.
Lumberjacks refer to the 6 people who have been to all 20 MAGFests. Yes, there's only 6 of us left. 4 of us are up here. Anyone out in the crowd? I can't see anyone out in the crowd. Is Sean or I forget his name. I'm an asshole. New members?
Yeah.
How are there new members?
Somebody's been,
If Sean is Al Sean, he's at home. If Sean
But-
is Al Sean, he's at home.
No. Sean Sackett.
yeah,
right.
but the reason why lumberjack became the unofficial, like the title for it, is because at the very first MAGFest, we thought like our event booked the entire venue, and you know we were all kind of all cocky and swag about it, and all of a sudden we look up at the marquee on the hotel and it says like welcome, was it
Woodsmen of the world.
Welcome Woodsmen of the World, and there was actually a group there called the Lumberjacks, and it was like, really? There's like a tree cutting convention here?
Aren't they, didn't someone say they're like a tech company?
Yeah, they were a tech company, but like, I mean, we're a bunch of idiot college students, are like, is there like a legit lumberjack convention going on at the same time?
Bye, Tim.
Adam,
So-
come on, replacement.
So that was where the name Lumberjack came from. But more or less, yeah,
Yeah, right.
it's been, the part of Tim Ekibus will be played by,
Tim with the wig.
but yeah, but that's where it came from.
Sorry, continue. Chopping wooden things.
Yeah, chopping wooden things. No. Well, that's where the name came from.
Yeah, we adopted the name Lumberjacks because honestly, we forgot it said Woodsman. We thought it said Lumberjacks and we're just dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. And now, all these years later, there's just a handful full of us left. Anyone who's attended MAGFest 1, we affectionately call them Woodsmen. Everyone who's been to every MAGFest are Lumberjacks.
Yeah.
So that's how the naming comes down.
Yeah, but
So, Ian, what was your story?
But yeah, like the one story that I always like telling is at the very first MAGFest,
Doing dad duty.
which was, I'm trying to think, the attendance was like, wasn't it like 175 or 275 or something?
Mag 1?
Give or
Mag
take.
one
Yeah.
was
270, give or take.
Yeah, Mag 1 was about 270. Probably the gaming room was probably a little bit larger than this panel room as it was, because, I mean, it was just like this podunk little
I
hotel.
don't even know if it was this big.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was not this big. I can tell you main concerts at Mag 5 was this size room.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like almost exactly.
yeah. This was how big the concert room was
Except the
at Mag
ceiling was
1.
lower.
And the ceiling was much lower.
So were the
Wave theory.
chandeliers, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. But anyhow, because I'm trying to think, because I ended up going because a friend of mine, her boyfriend wasn't able to come, and she's like, we have an extra seat and we could use some, extra money from a friend or anything. Do you want to go? I was like, sure, fudge it, why not? And so like so we made the red eye drive from New York down to here at like, ass o'clock at night. But anyways, one of the things that kind of appealed to me was that like, being a college kid, we obviously didn't go to sleep until like dawn. And I heard that the game room was open 24/7. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to wander down there and see what's going on. And I wander on down, and it's like, true enough, the game room was open, and obviously it was nowhere near as big as the arcade is now. But I happened to wander over to, I think it was a Super NES station, and there's a dude that was playing Bomberman. And I was like, hey man, you mind if I pop a seat and play? He's like, yeah, sure, cool. So I sit down, and eventually another person shows up, and another person, and another person. And eventually we had probably 8 to 10 people just kind of sitting there, rotating in and out, playing Bomberman, and just having a grand old time. No one knew anyone. And what irritates me is that there was a picture that was taken of all of us, and there was a link on the MAGFest Wikipedia article that led to that, but it's a broken link now, which irks me off because I would have saved it to my phone. But anyways, there is a picture out there somewhere of all of us just 12 people just intently staring at a TV monitor. And I'm guessing it was probably around the 4 o'clock range, because we were up so late and we were totally fried off of drinking energy drinks. And I do believe Balls was the beverage of choice back in the day.
The
Probably.
official drink of MAGFest.
There is somebody selling them downstairs.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is, for the
cans.
longest time, MAGFest was the only place I knew that you could get Balls
Yeah.
energy drink.
MAGFest was the only way I ever heard of Balls' existence. But
Find
yeah.
your balls at MAGFest.
Find your balls at MAGFest.
True.
Juicy and delicious.
Adam, what was your first MAGFest?
MAGFest 5.
And what brought you to MAGFest?
So I was dating somebody at the time, and we had gone to Otakon right before MAGFest 5, the summer before. And there was a guy dressed in a cardboard box NES controller costume. And that was Brendan,
Yeah, it
of
was
course.
I think it was a Wii controller, maybe? I know he's done that, but.
Oh no, that was the next iteration of
Okay.
the controller. That was right before the Wii came out.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I believe it was the NES controller or a Wii controller. It was made out of cardboard.
It's a controller,
is
okay.
the point.
The Wii didn't come out until we had reached the Mark Center. So that's,
Oh, yeah,
so
it
that's
was the
MAGFest
NES
6
then.
at least.
But in any event, on the sides of him, he had just manila folders stapled to the costume with flyers in it. And he was just like, hey, you're pretty cool. Do you like video games? And I was like, well, yeah. And he was like, do you like partying? And I was like, well, yeah. Who doesn't? He was like, cool, help me hand out these flyers. And I was like, that is not how this works.
What did I sign up
But,
for?
all right, cool. And so we sat there for a while, and I got to know Brendan a little bit. And then we ended up going to MAG 5, and the thing that hooked me was, I believe, the first year that they had the 4-player NBA Jam cabinet.
Oh, yeah.
And until about 4 or 5 in the morning, completely just either trashed or just peaking on energy drink, like he was referring to, because Balls was readily available.
Yeah.
And it was like I said, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, we are all freaking out, screaming NBA Jam lines at each other. You can hear us from the arcade at the front door of the hotel. It's so loud. And nobody ever yelled at us. And there was 15 people there doing the exact same stupid bullshit that I was doing. And everybody loved it just as much, and they were all total strangers. And I've been chasing that feeling ever since.
Yeah, come down to our WWE tournaments. You can do
It's
that all day.
chaos. It's chaos. I love it.
Yeah, 200 people going, you fucked up, you fucked up.
That's to me, MAGFest, the idea of MAGFest is being the most raw, unadulterated nerd version of yourself, and everybody doing the exact same thing.
Yep.
And that's like the heroine of MAGFest to me specifically, is like, that's what I'm hooked to, is that sense of community where you can be exactly who you are and nobody judges you for it. It's awesome. It's the best thing.
You have a question?
Have you gone over the origin of the Colossus Roar?
Oh, God.
The forbidden topic.
Oh, God.
Dear Charles, I love you, buddy, but fuck.
Okay, so
First
Okay, so-
off, does everyone know what the Colossus Roar is? Or do you just know it as some weird roar that people do at MAGFest? Because there's a shocking number of people who don't know what
Yeah.
the fuck they're
Raise
roaring
your
at.
hand if you're ashamed to admit which option you are. There it is. We got a little honesty out there.
Can any of
That's a
you do
wiggy.
the Colossus roar?
No!
Well, here's the thing. We can, and we can do it properly and correctly.
But it's
But-
been 13 years of it?
Yes.
and
No,
we're s-
no,
Yes.
no. 15 years
15?
of it. It started
Oh,
at
yes.
6.
Yeah,
I thought it was
I thought it was
seven.
7.
It started at 6.
it started at 6.
Okay.
Fuck, so it's even
That's
longer.
when it started doing the hallway waves down the Mark Center.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would start at one end of the hotel and get all the way.
And Adam and
to
I
the
know
other.
this because we were both in
So if you ever
console.
happen to see us wandering around and the Colossus roar goes off, and you hear one of us like yell, "Just shut the fuck up," or we throw up the middle finger or whatever, now you know why.
It's because we're sick of it.
It's,
And by him,
not- it's-
and he means them. I'm okay with it.
Well, and
well, I guess we're speaking for ourselves.
the fact of it now is it doesn't even really sound like Colossus when
No.
it's done anymore, which is just a real bummer. Like, if we're going to do something for the memes, do it right at least.
Yeah. I mean, more
That's
often than
our
not, it
biggest
sounds.
problem with it, is no one does it right.
Everybody,
Yeah.
it just goes
We're not
into,
even. Yeah.
and it's like, no, that's just
Yeah.
wrong.
That'll be
on
our
all
panel for
accounts.
next year, how to properly do the Colossus Roar,
no.
from back in the day.
It's got to be guttural, like from
Yeah.
Well, and you have the rising notes as well.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, and and there are some people that have no idea where it's from or why it's even called the Colossus Roar. So
Weren't people calling it the Dragon Ball Roar last year?
yeah, there were people calling it the Dragon Ball Roar.
That
because
depresses
admittedly,
my
like when
soul.
people do it wrong, it does sound like someone's charging up to go Super Saiyan 4. I mean,
So that roar is absolutely from the 6-player X-Men cabinet. When
Yes.
you hit Colossus's superpower button,
yep.
he makes that sound that I'm not going to do.
Yeah.
And-
And how it started was that at Mag 6, it was a much smaller venue, and there were a couple of there was a hallway that went around the ballroom used for the arcade itself, and there was a couple of cabinets just placed out there for just convenience and ease, and one of them was the X-Men cabinet, the big huge multiplayer one. And for some really weird reason, like the audio file for Colossus's Roar when you activate a superpower was like 4 times louder than any other soundbite in the game.
For whatever reason, it was at max volume.
Yeah.
And we never figured that out.
And not to mention, Colossus is the best character.
Yeah, and he's also,
He has
he's the
superpower
best
to
power,
use,
yeah, he's the
so
best
everyone
character,
played
the
him.
easiest, the huge AoE, wipes everything out on the screen, easy mode. And it was close enough to, like, the hallway led out into what was the market area at the time. And the way the acoustics were set up, whenever someone fired it off, you just kind of hear it in the distance. And it just, and because
What
people
was
kept
that
playing
again?
it.
You want to do that again?
No, I don't.
Well, it's just like anything else. Something
Yeah.
happened at MAGFest that was really funny because you heard it in the distance, and
Yeah.
then people were like, "Oh, my magic troll finger can do that too."
And you just be having a conversation or talking out in the marketplace, and you just keep hearing that roar just randomly fire off in the ambiguous distance. And after a while, people just started doing it because it just kind of became its own meme. And for a couple of years, it was the thing, and it kind of started phasing and dying out, and it was almost put to rest until MAGFest 10.
Yep. When
First
we
year
first
here.
started here.
Where we first started here at the Gaylord, and one of our big A-list guests was Nobuo Uematsu, who was here with I always get it wrong.
Earthbound Papa.
Earthbound Papas. And they were performing their set and everything like that, and
That
eventually,
concert's on YouTube, by the way. You should watch
yeah,
it. It's incredible.
Yeah, he's an adorable man. He's a fantastic dude. And about halfway, or at some point during their set, some of the guys were trying to get him to do the Colossus Roar, and his English is pretty.
He's 3/4 of the way there.
Yeah,
He's borderline fluent.
yeah. He's pretty good, but like he didn't quite understand what was going on, and people
Not at all.
and people were like just demonstrating the roar, and then he's like, okay, screw it, and he walks up to the mic and just lets rip a Colossus Roar, and basically revived it for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
And that's the origin of all the signs you have walking around with the no
Yep.
Yeah,
Colossus.
they'll do that in
Yes.
because people were in the atrium just to see how much they could get it to echo for a couple
Yeah.
of years, which is not fun.
Yeah, because when we were over at the Alexandria Mark, it wasn't too big of a deal because we pretty much owned the entire hotel and no one gave a crap.
Correct.
But
Well-
here,
The Mark Center was also fun because the hallways were so small.
Yeah.
So that when somebody started the Colossus Roar at one side of the hotel, it went like a wave through the entirety of the hallways. So you
Literally to
could
the
actually
other
get
end
it to
of
go
the
Yep.
one side of the hotel and all the way back again.
yeah, you could hear it come from one direction, pass through, and end up on the other side of the.
I would be very remiss if we didn't mention that the reason that X-Men cab was there is because it was a badge for cab donation trade that we do. Basically, if you let MAGFest use one of your personal arcade machines, you get a free badge for the weekend. It's like a trade-off. And very good friend of all of us.
Yeah.
Mr. Charles Margolis was the one that let MAGFest borrow that machine and thus becoming legend.
God rest him.
If you go down and see the X-Men cab machine, you will see Charles's memorial. He passed away a couple of years ago. Hell of a dude. He's
Yeah.
awesome as hell.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go visit the machine, pay Charles a visit for sure.
Play the game too, but
play
don't
the
pick
hell out of
Colossus.
it.
Yeah.
Don't
He was-
pick
Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He was a true MAGFester.
Oh, no.
100%.
Charles was a living embodiment of MAGFest.
Yeah.
Matt, what was your introduction to MAGFest? We'll finish off our intros with Matt and Mike down there.
Okay, so for a couple years, I've been going to local anime conventions like Otakon, Katsucon, some of the ones further south in Virginia, and I was working on what ended up being 2 different fanzines for a couple years. And one of the years we were in the artist alley of Otakon selling our print magazine, and I met Sean, whose last name I don't know, but he was the vice con chair for the first MAGFest alongside with Joe, who was the chair, not this Joe. And I was like, oh, cool, I like video games more than anime. I'll totally go to this thing a couple hours away. So, I mean, that was the reason I went there. I knew 1 or 2 people that were going there because I wasn't really big into the whole like OC remix, video game remixing arrangement community at the time. I think I was on the One Up Studios boards then or later, but I did work out interviews with a couple of the guests there. So there was the interview with the mini bosses, which is its own fun story. And then I had one with a combination of Jake Vert Kaufman, who you probably know from various video games these days. Stephen Kennedy of Project Majestic Mix, and then Mustin and Dale North from One Up Studios, and the One Ups who played last night in the case of Mustin. And I've just been coming ever since.
Nice. Mike, what about you? What brought you to the magical world of MAGFest?
So we're in college in DC at the time, and I'm the only one with the car, so that's why I got asked. But a buddy of mine comes running up with like a flyer for a mini bosses show. And he's just like, and it was like, come see the mini bosses in Roanoke, Virginia, at MAGFest, kind of on the bottom, tiny, because no one knew what the hell that was. So we're like, okay. So then, 6 of us pile into my old 1984 Volvo in a driving thunderstorm at like 10 o'clock at night to leave to get to Roanoke in time for a Smash Brothers tournament. Coincidentally enough for being the 20th right here. So, and then on the way back, we stole a cardboard cutout of Laura Croft and a few other things, and you know what? We just keep coming back every year. So.
Chasing
mini
that high
bosses
the
shows.
cardboard Laura ever since.
Another question?
How many of your bands would you categorize as Lumberjacks as well?
Bands? None. There's been no band that has attended every MAGFest. The Woodsmen, the One-Ups would be Woodsmen, and the mini bosses, if they were to ever return to, are they even still doing things?
They like play half with them and half with their kids now. It's really cool.
Yeah, like they were at West a
That
couple
makes
years
me
ago.
feel
and-
so old.
They played too many games like 2 years ago, and half the band was like their kids. It was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
You said that the Colossus Roar was randomly at full volume. Is it just that cab cabinet, that was something, or?
Yeah.
Just that cabinet,
It's just
yeah.
that cabinet. It's so weird.
It was meant to be.
Yep.
Yeah, it
And
was
no one can
absolutely-
figure it out.
It was super kismet at the moment.
Yeah.
And then somebody else, this project never happened, but like MAGFest 8, when it was still kind of funny. Remember, that was 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody was going to take a different X-Men 6-player arcade cabinet. They were going to take the board from it and try to modify the sound file so all characters did that.
All of them
But
or all of them but Colossus?
They never figured out how to reprogram that EEPROM correctly, so.
Thank God.
Yeah, for real, it kind of saved us a little bit.
So Adam, you have gained popularity in recent years through the charity auctions. How did that come to be?
So at MAGFest 5 and 6, there was just like this auction that you could go to, where like people would just bring shit from their house and be like, hey, I literally spent every penny I have to get to MAGFest, and I
sell
have
some
to
shit to
sell
get
this
home?"
console to get home. Like, I don't have any other way to get home. So they would literally auction off their stuff to like make money and then get home. And I was like, I feel like this auction can be used for something way cooler than the self-profit of what's going to end up just being vendors coming in here and selling their shit. Like, I saw the writing on the wall a mile away. So I talked to Brendan, and at the time, I was friends with Little Steve, but we didn't do any work together. And I just needed a gopher, and Little Steve was 17 at the time, and I was just like, I need you to go get me things when I need them. And it kind of started with that. Like what was it, 8 was the first one that we did the charity auction, and we had just got done learning about Penny Arcade Expo and Child's Play, and I was like, oh, we should raise some money for them, that'd be really cool, a couple $100. And we didn't even raise that much money, but because like how we got donations was just like, I just asked people to give me stuff, like straight up. I just walked up to vendors and was like, hey, I'm gonna try to raise some money for some charity. I hope people show up to this thing. Would you donate like a stuffed animal or, you know, whatever you're selling? I mean, there was like, the first year I was selling literal trash. Like sheets of paper that were pulled out that like I drew a penis on. And people just thought it was hilarious. So like I kind of ran with it.
Well,
And
Mag 8 was when you had the piece of newspaper, it was like a magazine that was
Oh, no,
like,
that was, yeah, the torn out page. It was a half page of a torn out sheet of Nintendo Power.
There it was.
That had a Donkey Kong on it. And that went for $100. Yeah. And I couldn't believe it. So then, like, the next year, Steve and I talked before the event and didn't scramble at event to get everything. And we, like, made a couple contacts and we had some cool stuff and we worked with some artists and had some stuff donated that way. And then, like, we were doing it until Mag 17, and Child's Play knew about us. They put us on their event calendar as like sponsors and donators, but they had never been out. And at MAG 2017, they were like, hey, we just bought tickets and flights. We'll see you in January. Ooh. And at that point, I was already drawing penises on everything. And I was already telling just terrible jokes and cussing in front of kids. And I was like, these people are going to say, you're never allowed to use our name again when they see what's going on. And they showed up and they met my wife and I, and they were like, hey, we are really big fans of yours. And I was like, why? And they're like, we've seen a bunch of the auctions on YouTube. You guys are amazing. And I was like, wait, you don't hate us. You're not like mad that we make dick jokes in front of kids. And they were like, no, everybody's into it. And I was like, what? So they came and like they attended, they scoped things out. And then at MAG 2018, they brought their booth and they were like super into it. And now we're friends with the VP of Child's Play who comes here every year. Wow. And just like really likes the weirder we get, the cooler and happier she is. We sold booty shorts again.
Again?
Again. But here's the thing. We didn't know that we started kind of a cult, apparently. So there's a crew. We always make like 12 or 15 pairs of charity booty shorts. We found out that there's a crew of about 12 people that buy all of them every year. They showed, the leader of, the de facto leader of this group pulled a picture out of his phone. And it's like him and his crew at his wedding. They're in like tuxedos, but they all have their pants down and they're all wearing MAGFest booty shorts from last year. I couldn't believe it. Wow. So yeah, we accidentally started a cult by saying really bad words in front of children for the kids.
It's a well-meaning cult.
Yeah.
At what point did hotels start getting into the charity auction and offering free rooms?
Never. Like we pay for those rooms. Yeah, like we got some of them were donated by the old board of directors. We had one donated by the new board of directors. And then this year and kind of moving forward, that's all money that the department itself either raises or raises on site and then, recoups operating costs. And then the rest of it goes to Child's Play. So it works out nicely. And this year we have 2 rooms because we have one for the raffle. If you haven't been down there, it's $10 to enter a raffle for an auction, for the suite. And then we have the typical VIP package at the auction this year.
What other stuff can you enter for the raffle? What kind of good shit do you have?
PS5, Switch Lite. We have 3 different board game bundles that are all worth a few $100s.
Pernell will love that.
I've got, he's very specifically trying to thin the collection. I'm paying attention. We've got, what else? A whole stack of Gundams that are ready to be built. There's the Power Rangers pack that has the Pink Ranger helmet and a Lord Zed helmet. The who?
Tabletop arcade.
Yeah, well, there's a tabletop arcade, but don't try to win that because my dad wants it. So he bought a lot of tickets. He bought a lot of tickets for that one. And the suite, where you can get 2 badges and a suite for next year, so you don't have to worry about the lottery or lines or anything.
Yeah, I want that. So just sneak that to me.
No, the only person that gets a free entry is Huey. It's on the ticket. It was sponsored by Legal, and Huey has put his one legal free entry into the bucket.
There you go.
Nice.
Because it says, because let's hear it for Huey. But he's not even here. Can we get a small round of applause for Huey? I mean, the guy's a legend. Thank you. I appreciate that big time. We got more Cutlers, Cutler crew. Let's go. Don't mind us. We're all wrestling idiots.
So, Bunny, how did you get involved in working with MAGFest?
This is the curse of don't help people. So I was wandering around MAGFest 6, and it was before it started on the Thursday, and there was this one guy there, Brent Smart, who was running the console room, and he looked like he was dying. He was like, oh my God, there's everything, and he just was, I swear steam was coming out of his ears.
That's because it was.
It was. And I walk up to him and I go, hey man, are you like okay? Do you need some help? And he goes, oh, thank God you're here. And I'm like, you don't even know who I am, what?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, thank God. So he says, yes, can you do this thing for me? I need to get to a meeting. And I go, okay, that's really easy. Can you give me the list of things that you need done? And he goes, no, there's too much to be done. I'll only be gone for half an hour, like whatever. I go, look, humor me. If I get more than just the one thing done, then that's just another thing off your plate. Like, you won't have to worry about it. So he says, all right, fine, and gives me an entire written list of all these things to do. So I said, said, okay, great, have fun, and he wanders off to his meeting. I then walk outside because clearly I wasn't going to accomplish this list of like 15 tasks by myself. And I found 3 guys sort of sitting with their backs to the wall outside. And I look at them and I go, so do you guys want to help MAGFest be awesome? And they looked at me, and by the power of boobs, they said, yes! So they came in, I divided up the pieces of the various tasks and got to work on things. His half-an-hour meeting actually was an hour and a half, and he came back later, and literally all of them were done. And he goes, how did you do this? And I said, I had minions, it was awesome. And he says, congratulations, you're my new manager. And I've kind of been like a department head ever since.
How many years is this now that you're actually running consoles?
I mean, years or MAGFests?
Both.
Well, so if we talk MAGFests, then that's 14, 13, something like that? Yeah.
Something like that.
And then for years, it did be 15, 16, so. So yeah, I've been here for far too long.
Nice. Was there a question? No? Anyone have any questions? Yes.
Yeah, so what is with the jumpsuits?
Are you familiar with All Elite Wrestling?
You should familiarize yourself with All Elite Wrestling.
Or not.
Hey.
There's a goofy fucking, just a real squirrely guy named Brandon Cutler. And we love him dearly.
Yes.
He's like the Waluigi of wrestling. He's amazing. So we all bought his jumpsuit on Amazon for $40, and we're living our best lives today.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly.
Very hot, but best lives.
I'm chilling.
Mike, how did you get involved working with MAGFest?
Actually, my story sounds a lot like Bunny's, and because it involves Brent. You know, basically, just because I've been around for a long time, just got to see him. He basically just says, "Hey, we need some help, and you don't look like you'll steal a bunch of money. So could you go help out with this?" And then basically just stuck around volunteering. So I bounced around for a long time, but it's
I was also first hired by Brent, and then kind of took over his job, and then.
I took over your job.
And then she pushed me the fuck out. Needed it though, for real. I could not handle running that by myself or anywhere even close to with other people. I was horrible at it.
I mean, 180 volunteers isn't that bad.
Oh, God.
Shut up. When I did it, there was 20 tops. That's
If that.
wild.
I mean, but honestly, like, you get really fun stories out of it. So, like, most of my managers, my senior managers downstairs in consoles, are like 6 foot or above. I'm 5'4", so of course I'm the enforcer of the room. And they call me for whatever needs being done. And one of my favorite stories actually happened at the Mark Center. In those days, arcades and consoles weren't together. Weren't separate. They were together. So there was arcades that aligned the entire outside of the room, and all of the consoles were in the center. So there was a guy playing goodness knows what game, and my managers call me at 2 o'clock in the morning when I'm asleep, and they go, "You have to get down here." And I go, "Can't you handle it?" And they go, "No, only you can deal with this, we've tried." And I was like, well, that's fun. So I put some pants on, get downstairs, and I arrived to see 2 of my staffers, like, not quite with hands on this man, but like trying to urge him to go away, with his 2 friends actually trying to drag him away, because all he's wearing is a pair of boxer shorts with hearts on them. That's it.
That guy was playing Paradise.
Okay, there it is.
I remember that.
So anyway, so he's playing this arcade game, and I go over there, and it's clear that he is drunk off his ass. Like, he couldn't see straight. I have no idea how he was passing these songs. So I go over to him, I go, "Hey man, how's it going?" He goes, "Dude, it's great, I love this game. This is like my favorite game." And I'm like, "I am so glad you're connecting with everything here. Thank you for coming." But like, I just looked at the time. "Dude, do you know what time it is?" And he goes, "No, what time is it?" And I go, "Dude, it's pants o'clock and you're underdressed." He looks down and goes, "Oh shit," and just takes off running. His friends are like, "Thank you, man. event and they just take off after it.
That's funny.
Oh, that sounds like a fun, fucked up story. Who else has a fun, fucked up story of MAGFest? Adam, you've got to have a couple. I know.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, I got one real quick. Can I use profanity?
I was gonna say without legally
You're
indicting
not a
someone.
Mag Scouts.
Okay, good, because like it's not me using it, it's the direct quote of the guy that reacted. So we're at 3 at the Clarion, and we're waiting for the concerts to start. So the one good thing about that Clarion is they had nice comfy chairs in the lobby. So we're just sitting there waiting for a little while. And the stairwell kind of went down half a level that way and then came back the other way. And this guy just comes tumbling down that first flight of stairs, hard landing. And his buddies and stuff all come running right up after him. They're like, oh my God, are you okay? And he just perks right up and just goes, I just got fucked in the ass in room 324. Woo! And then they carried him right back out, and he just kind of kept on going. So, that kind of felt like Mag 3 in a nutshell right there. So.
All right, Adam, what kind of fun stories you got? What's the weirdest thing that you've experienced at MAGFest?
Well, this wasn't a weird thing, but it was kind of shocking to see play out. It was Mag 9, and it was the last year at the Hilton.
Mark Center.
Mark Center, yeah. And I was rubbing elbows with the upper echelon at that point. And it was me and Paul and Dom and Eli all sitting down outside of the staff suite area in the other wing that was in that open area. And we're all just sitting there eating breakfast, just trying to recoup, figure out Sunday, kind of, do our thing. And our hotel sales liaison comes storming up to us and sits down right next to Paul. And Eli has a cash box in his lap. And she takes the cash box from Eli, she opens it up, and there's about $5,000 in the cash box. She takes the $5,000 out, punches Paul in the arm, really hard, and goes, I just had to deal with somebody that took a king-size Sharpie and drew a 7-foot dick on the wall, all the way down the hallway.
Yep.
This should about cover it. God damn it, I hate you. Just left.
But it got worse, because by the end of the weekend, by the end of loadout, there were dicks everywhere down the walls.
Yeah, it was real bad.
And they weren't from him.
No. I drove my dicks responsibly.
Yes.
Always for the children.
Always for the children. Dicks for children.
The other crazy thing that happened at the Mark Center, was that the Mark? Yeah, that was the Mark Center. What was we got report that there was some serious hotel room damage.
Oh no.
And we were like, oh Christ, what happened? So we get called from security and we go up to the room and we walk into the bathroom and the entire sink is caved in.
Nope, that was here. That was here.
Was that
That
here?
was the first year here.
Oh, the whole sink is caved in.
Yep.
So we instantaneously knew what happened. They decided that they weren't going to stick with tradition and put the ice and the beer in the bathtub. They put it in the damn sink. And it caved the sink completely in.
Yep. And the only reason I know that, because that was the year of Team Rocket.
Yep.
So Team Rocket in consoles that year, there's a group that dresses all in one outfit, and that year was Team Rocket. And they came through, 30 of them downstairs in the console room, all deciding to wreak havoc. They placed attendees in trash cans. They decided to overturn our consoles and turn the televisions upside down if they could. We also had somebody that was on a table humping a television. That was fun too. So I had, again, called at 2 or 3 in the morning, come down, we need you to chase Team Rocket out of the console room. And
They really need to blast off.
they did. So at the end of it, when I finally convinced them, no, you do have to leave no, I'm not kidding. Yes, I will call security. They finally all, as a collective, yelled, "We're Team Rocket, we're blasting off again." And then they went. And I have no idea where they went from there, but at least it wasn't here.
You have to understand, these phone calls come at 4 in the morning on Saturday. It feels like a fucking fever dream.
Yeah.
Because you're like, what do you mean Team Rocket's in the arcade? Like,
Yeah,
what?
like you're half awake and you're getting a call about Team Rocket and how like are they after Pikachu again?
Right, like what? I don't
Or we have to get a car out of the expo hall, and the Stig is currently sitting on its windshield. Like, that was another one of my calls. I get the best calls.
We have 15 more minutes.
Which
Yeah, I have to go into another panel. So I have one story I want to tell that kind of ties a bow on a lot of the topics up here. We told some last year, and that's on YouTube as well. So if we don't get to it today, you can watch that panel if you weren't there. So one of the Gaylord years, my uncle died, and he, during his life, one of his hobbies was making latch hook rugs. And to honor him, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do like the perler bead kind of sprite art sort of thing and make a custom latch hook rug. I made one of Mega Man 2, put it in the auction,
Oh, yeah.
and you know, it made a decent amount of money, but
yeah.
like not as much as the drawing of Cthulhu that Frederick made.
I'm just saying, Dick Sell.
So I have to head over to Name That Tune, which is in a half hour in panels 2 to get set up, but I'll leave you guys, for 15 more minutes.
Why don't you pimp your next panel?
I thought I just did, but yeah, video games, Name That Tune. It's in panel 2 at 2:45.
Yeah, go see Name That Tune. That panel rules.
Thank you, Matt.
And the other person that I replaced that looked just like me, identical, right?
Identical.
He's also doing that. So
Yes.
yeah, go see them.
Yeah, and speaking of pissing off the hotels, was it 3 or 4 that we had the infamous antiquing incident?
Oh, man.
4 or 5.
Oh, it's 4 or 5?
No, five was the SWAT team.
That was the Fredericksburg one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 5 was SWAT team.
5 was the SWAT team.
Okay, so antiquing was 4.
Yeah, that feels right.
That was the shiz, wasn't it?
Maybe?
Who did the antiquing?
I think so.
think so.
Yeah.
You want to talk
Because-
about the funny shit the shiz used to do?
Oh, no.
Yeah, because MAGFest had its
Oh,
growing
God.
pains, and one of those was trying to find a steady hotel that would, or center that would actually have us back consecutively.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting that second year invite was real doozy for a while.
That's why the Alexandria Mark was like such a hit. It's like, oh man, it's the perfect place, and they don't completely fucking hate us.
Except for the fact
Not at
that
first,
the
anyway.
elevators stopped working, the escalators stopped working, and every possible surface leaked.
Yep.
Yeah,
And the rooms in the tower all seem to share the same ventilation pipes. So
Yes.
when somebody decided to smoke a little relaxation, everyone on the floor is going to know about
Pass,
it.
whether they liked it or not.
I do appreciate now that all you have to do is walk outside and you get a contact buzz anymore.
Yeah, pretty much.
Thank you, DC. Craziest thing I've ever seen on an elevator in recent years was when Ashley was here the other year. Her and I were on the elevator, and some drunk dude was just standing in the corner pissing. Just
Dude, I'll
on
tell
the
you what,
elevator.
one of the craziest shit, and talking about Uematsu before, I was very honored to be able to spend some time with him. And we had gone out to dinner and with a bunch of people. No, this is,
Okay.
There's 2 things that happened. One was, they had no idea, the Earthbound Papas as a whole had no idea what guacamole was. Like that food was a foreign concept to them. So like when we went to dinner, they were like digging through it with a fork trying to figure out what it was. It was amazing. But the other thing that happened is we got in an elevator. It's the Gaylord glass elevators out there. And we were like trying to be on our best behavior because like this crazy guy that like wrote the soundtrack to my fucking childhood is standing right there. And just like the elevator closes, we're only going up 3 floors, but very quietly, he's just like, elevator party, elevator party. And I thought I was going to die in that moment. I I was like, we actually influenced somebody that influenced us. That's
Yeah.
incredible. Well done, man.
And what you have to understand about elevator parties, it started in the Marx Center, where originally you'd have somebody with like a boombox and like everybody would just ride up and down in the elevator and not actually go anywhere. That then morphed into, okay, we're going to have people playing on their like DSs or whatever in the elevator. By the end of the Marx Center, like at MAGFest 9, we had people hauling in furniture and had whole tea parties in the
Oh,
elevator.
true story. True story.
100%.
The thing is that the elevators in the Marx Center were like way old school, and they had this little panel door that had a 110 outlet in it. So people would literally just bring a boombox and plug it in and just go for hours.
Or a
up
television and
down.
console, no joke.
And like strobe lights and lights, they would like hang shit in the elevators. And they'd just be dancing when they got to your floor.
Like-
and you'd be like, there's
Glow
a party.
sticks and everything.
See you later,
I'll
I
wait for
guess.
the next one.
Like, it was wild, man. We were fucking dumb.
It's been a crazy 20 years. Hopefully we get 20 more. We only have a few minutes left. Did anyone have any questions for us? Yeah.
Have you started tracking the Woodman and Lumberjacks on your satellite events?
No,
No,
it's
dude,
just
that'd be
Mag
impossible to
Prime.
take
Yeah.
care or to keep track of, especially with stuff on different coasts of the country.
Yeah. I personally haven't been to MAGWest, so I don't know what's going on out there. We just count Mag Prime.
I like it.
Me and Mike went one year. That was good.
For now,
Yeah, just showed up at like 1 in the morning.
How many lumberjacks are left?
6.
6 in total. Yeah, I'm not one of them. I don't claim to be.
Nope. Yes.
How'd the Danny DeVito shrine get started?
Danny DeVito
Oh, MAGFest is the best.
I don't even think there's like a legit
No, so they're
event or anything. It's just like, you know, Danny DeVito is just kind of a cult of personality, because I saw a like a Betty White
yeah.
slash memorial.
There's also an Imhotep shrine. I don't know if
Well, so
everybody knows that.
the first one that I saw, the first Danny DeVito shrine that I saw is somebody had put up a piece of paper that just said the words Danny DeVito on it and stuck it to a wall.
didn't even have his picture.
It didn't
It's
even have his
actually
picture.
it's
And they
actually
placed an
always
egg there.
been the same 2 people.
Really?
It's
Yeah,
the
and
same 2 girls.
and
have
we
always
we get help desk tickets about it because they write on the contact page like, "Hey, we started the Danny DeVito Shrine. Where can we put it this year?" Or
Yeah.
something like that. So it's just like,
So,
"Oh, good. That's a
It's
support
funny
fee
because
ticket."
like the Danny DeVito Shrine is actually an official part of MAGFest now.
So if you look, the
It's
sign
under the
is-
charity umbrella entirely. These 2 staffers were just like, or I'm sorry, they were 2 attendees. Were just like, they just did a funny thing and they ran with it. And then people started throwing down money at it, as opposed to just like, you know, cards and goofy shit. And they were like, we legitimately don't know what to do with this money. This has actually become something and we don't know where to go from here. So they came to charity and they were like, we have money and we want to give it to you. And I was like, okay. They were like, this is from the Danny DeVito Shrine. And then that's how me and Steve met them. And this year, we gave them a little bit of funding so they could get like the signs printed and stuff like that. And now MAGFest has always been about doing something stupid that's really fun and running with it.
Yeah, and it's always done in good spirit, because it just goes to show like how cool they are, because like they could have just kept that money and said budget.
Yeah, they could
But
have
instead-
literally pocketed it. Because
Instead,
it wasn't
you know,
official at all.
Yeah, and instead they decided to turn it into charity because that's just
That's the MAGFest way.
that's how we do things around here.
That's how it's done, yeah.
For now?
Related to that, has there been any indication or moment where it's been noted that Danny DeVito has acknowledged the existence of Danny DeVito Shrine?
No.
No, and really hoping it stays that way. I can't afford the lawsuit.
Can I offer you a nice lawsuit in these trying
People
times?
like a lot of things. That doesn't.
I do know that he is tagged like 5,000 times this weekend, but I don't, to my knowledge, think that it's ever been responded to.
I'm willing to bet that we're probably not the only that
also-
does something like that.
There's also no shot in fucking hell that he runs his own social media. Let's be real about it, so.
Anyone else? Yeah.
my second mag, I walked into the bathroom at the Hilton, and there was a Shaq Fu cartridge in there.
Oh, yeah. As a matter of
Screw
fact,
attack.
if you Google MAGFest, it's one of the first images that comes up.
That's my moment. I've been chasing ever since.
Nice.
That is a vintage moment to be proud of.
There is a guy that vends here very often. I don't know if he's here this year or not. His name's Carlson. For a long time, he was actually the world's biggest Shaq Fu collector. He had something like 500 copies of it for a while.
Why?
Just because it was funny as hell.
Yeah, and that is literally where we got our Shaq Fu cartridge for
Yeah.
our tournament at like MAGFest 12 or 13
Absolutely,
or whatever.
yeah. He used to give them to us for mystery prizes.
Yep.
Nice.
It's great.
Dave.
Who's got a funny late night party story with a famous MAGFest guest?
We got thrown out of our own party at our own hotel once. We were partying with the One-Ups, the Megas, Power Glove. It was like a who's who at Mag 8. And to make it a 3-minute story, so I beat that 5-minute timer, we were real trashed. And it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and hotel security came to where the entire board of directors, most of the paid staff, and most of the bands all were partying. Threw us out of our own party at our own convention at our own hotel. So we just went down to Jam Space, turned Jam Space off, and turned it into Party Central for the rest of the night. Fun fact, that's the first time I ever partied with John St. John. He was 46 shots of tequila in on the weekend. On the weekend. On the
not in one
weekend.
shit.
On the weekend.
Okay. That's still pretty.
Just a quick interruption. Does anyone here not know who John St. John is?
Voice of Duke Nukem.
Yeah, the voice
Voice of
actor that
Duke
plays
Nukem.
Duke Nukem, Big the Cat, among a trillion other things.
I guess my best story with Duke Nukem is I called him a pussy to his face because he refused to do a shot in a shot contest.
He was a judge in a shot contest that we were hosting.
And our good friend Ailshawn, if anyone's familiar with
Ailshawn.
musician Ailshawn, he is an asshole.
No, he's
And-
the best.
No, did you hear what his drink was?
No.
He called it the Karnov. It was bottom shelf vodka and chipotle sauce.
That's just mean.
Yes, and that is what Mr. John St. John refused to drink, but I drank it and I called him a pussy.
There's a drink called a Prairie Fire, which is half hot sauce, half tequila.
That
And,
also sounds terrible.
yeah, it's the worst.
All right, well, any final questions? No?
No.
All right, we're done. Get the fuck out. Thank you. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for
thank you
coming.
very much for being here and indulging in us.
Yeah.
Everyone have a fantastic MAGFest and fucking